Are you looking for YA books? Books with not too much romance, not too many gory images, just the perfect amount of everything? Well then, that's why you clicked on this video. Today I'm going to be giving my top 6 book recommendations for teenagers. So if that's what you're into, keep watching. So before I hop into my first book, I do want to let you know I'm not going to be sharing my ratings of these books because I want you to decide for yourself if you want to read this or not and not let my opinion on the book deter you. I mean, obviously I like them, which is why I'm recommending them. And also I will be rating the books into 3 sections or 3 categories, 3 something. So the first is vibe check, how I felt while I was reading, if the vibes, no one's vibes, if the vibes met me, if I enjoyed the vibes, and how much I enjoyed them. And I'm gonna rate all of these by 3 stars. So we have vibe check, romance, so what the intensity of the romance is in the book, just in case you're looking for a particular intensity of the romance, either if you want none of it or if you want, you know, just a little bit, that will help you decide. And third is pacing. I don't think I need to say more. I will tell you if the pacing was slow, medium, or fast. So let's get into the book. So the first book recommendation I have for you is a cozy crime book, and that is Barking Mad. This book is basically about Emily, who has just moved into a village, into a new cottage, and one day across from her house in the river she finds a dead body. People from the village think it is Emily's neighbor who did this because he is a bit creepy and also just distant, but Emily thinks that he is just an innocent old guy and he, you know, could not have done anything. So now she's on a quest to prove all the villagers wrong along with her dog Poppy. I think that's her name. For me, this was a great book overall, and I think this has the perfect mix of everything for a cozy crime book. First of all, it is a very short read, so I guess let's start categorizing it into the 3 categories that I mentioned. I also think categorize is the wrong word. That is not what I'm doing. So for romance, I would say 1. There's barely any romance. It's just that our main character, what's her name? Emily has a fascination with her next door neighbor's son. So, you know, there's that, but there's nothing much else. As for the vibe check, I would give this a 2. It's definitely all cozy. It gives you all the cozy vibe. I think towards the end, it just gets a bit messy for that, you know, it just takes away the cozy vibes for just a millisecond, but otherwise, it was good. It was 2 out of 3. As for the pacing, I think I would put this on a medium pacing. I mean, it is a short book, so, you know, if it was slow, it would be kind of concerning. And as it says on the cover itself, fun and heartwarming, this is what this book was. I do like our main character. She does get a bit annoying later on in the book, but you know, it's okay. The writing is very easy to read, so I'm sure you would fly past this book. And also the writing sets the scene in a way that feels cozy. It makes you feel like you are in that village, you are living in that cottage. It's basically like if the world of Gilmore Girls was turned a little bit darker and had a murder in the town. Would recommend. Let's see what our next books are. I have just piled them randomly, so like whatever comes in my hand, we have. Next we have a series, The Inheritance Games. So this is actually a series of more than 2 books. I have only 2 books, and I think I'm gonna discuss the first book more. I actually really missed reading this series. I think I need to buy the third book soon. So this book is basically about Avery. There is a billionaire who randomly dies. Then Avery finds out that he actually left everything that he ever owned to her. Also, the connection between this old guy and Avery, nothing. And so now Avery is brought into this mansion because part of her deal is to live in this mansion. The twist is people already live in the mansion. The grandsons, I think there are 5. That's why my hand came like that. 5. I think there are 4 or 5 grandsons, maybe 3. And now all of them are like, why the hell did this man give all his money to Avery and not us? I would be shocked as well. So now they're all after Avery to find out what has she done that she has all this money. And Avery herself is also on the quest to find out why on earth she was given all this money. I absolutely love this series. It is so fast paced. It literally has like 2 to 3 pages long chapters, sometimes even 1 page. I'm sorry, can you tell me a faster paced book that has more than 1 page of a chapter? I don't think so. Also, getting to know the boys in this is so interesting because they all have their different dynamics and they have their own dynamics with Avery as well later on in the book. And as you're reading it, it doesn't seem like it's gonna go to the place where it goes, and then that's how the whole series plays out. Vibe check, definitely a 3 out of 3. I was new into fantasy when I got into this book. However, when I turned after the 2nd page, I was like, wait, the chapter's already over? And then I read another chapter and I was like, this chapter is already over? And then I read another chapter. I was like, it's just been 1 page. How is this chapter already over? And then when I figured out that's how the book went, I was like, give me 5 of these. I will happily read a fantasy book. Honestly, there's no point in this book that I felt bored or felt like, oh my god, I want to close the book. I absolutely love this book. Romance, I think I would put this in 1. There's not much romance going on in this because it is just the introduction and so you're getting to know the boys and Avery. And so right now it's just the mystery finding not why he died, but why he gave all the money to Avery. And pacing, 3, it's definitely 3, and pacing is fast, very fast. And then you have the second book, obviously. Read the first book, and then you'll want to read the second book. The story just goes on and on about her getting the money and why she got the money, and then there are just more problems that, you know, occur. Ooh, how did I forget? Also, this house in itself has lots of puzzles, lots of games, like it is built into the house. You might not understand what I'm trying to say, but once you read it, you will. For example, let's say there's a door. You know, it looks like a door, it's probably not a door. There's a floor, it looks like a floor. It probably is not just a floor. There's probably a secret maze inside it. You get my vibe? Okay, let's move to the next book. So what is our next book? The reappearance of Rachel Price. So this book is basically about 18-year-old Belle, and her mother has been missing for 16 years. And so one day, Belle's family agrees to make a documentary on this topic. As soon as they start making the film, her mother shows up. And that's what the book is about. I was a bit worried about this book just because of the thickness of it. It is quite a thick book for a mystery, thriller, crime book. It is a good book though. The characters are great. Our main character goes through a lot, and I definitely did not see the book going where it went. And towards the end, there are so many twists and turns. You will be like, what is happening? Also, it has a very pretty cover. For vibe check, I would give this a 3 on 3. I was absolutely immersed in this book when I was reading it. I did finish this book also very fast, which just goes to show the pacing was very fast indeed. And also, I will say, do not be afraid of the thickness of this book if you are just getting into reading, or you know, you're just afraid, why is this book so thick? Do not worry once you start to get to know the characters and get to know the story. Also, the topic itself, that lady, her mother is returning after 16 years in itself, I think should create that intrigue in you. They're like, why did she disappear, and why did she come back, and how is she still alive? The next book we have is Falling Hard for the Royal Guard. So finally, a romance recommendation. So this book is about Maggie, who lives in the Tower of London, and she has had a very crazy ex, and he is bothering her a bit, and now she's like, I'm never gonna date a man again, because what is wrong with them? And so one day she comes across Freddie, who is a royal guard. The ones who don't move or speak or talk are not allowed to do anything, and she somehow forms a connection with him, but obviously he's a royal guard, so he can't move or talk. And now that's the book. That's the book. That's what the book is about. If I could say a word or a phrase for this book, is absolutely sweet. Perfection. Honey. Sweet. First of all, I love the main character. You are introduced to her family, her living situation, her life, and her daily job. That is something I absolutely loved. The way it's written in this book is her monotonous routine of every day, because oh my god, the things that are described in this are so sweet. It's basically like, you know, stop and smell the flowers kind of vibe, and it's just so sweet. And also, when you get to know the male character and the things that happen between them, it is just like, I want to live in the Tower of London now. So for the vibe check, it's definitely getting a 3 out of 3. Absolutely loved it. It was so magical. I was getting just a teensy bit jealous. I was like, I want to live in the Tower of London, and I want this Freddie guy right now. As for romance, I think I would put this around 2 and 3, 2.5, because there is romance. Obviously, it is a romance book. I guess it's not spicy, so it has that sweet romance in it. As for the pacing, I would put this in medium pacing, and it actually has a beautiful pacing. Something magical about this book for me is the small things that pass between the two. Just because Freddie is obviously a royal guard, he can't speak, so usually when eventually they do, you know, come across each other, they do certain small things to grab each other's attention, or small things out of their way, their busy schedule, and I absolutely love that. Next we have the wrong book. Next we have the sister book of this. It is Love at First Night. This book was written after this book, so there's no actual relation as to you should read this before you read this, but that is how I read it. And also, this couple does show up in this book a few times, so that's just sweet to know, you know, if you read this one first. So this book is about Daisy, who lives with her family, and she just feels like she doesn't know what she wants to do in life. And so one day there comes an opportunity to work at a night school as a teacher, and she's like, I actually love fighting, and I think I would do great. And so she joins in. At the night school, however, is Theodore, who is the prince. Is he the prince? No, he is a disgraced, distant relative of the royal family, so he is royal. He is also in the night school as a teacher, but obviously he is forced. He doesn't actually want to be there. And so he's the lazy, laid-back type of guy who creates lots of problems for Daisy in her daily routine of being a teacher at the night school. And so now throughout the book, they both are just annoying each other. Theodore is being a pain in the butt, and Daisy also doesn't back down, so they are just fighting constantly. I did not like this book as much as that book. That one just had its own charm, but this was also very nice. There are certain topics in this book that I really like, such as the introduction of LARPing. I never knew what LARPing was. It is, Alexa, what's the meaning of LARPing?
The name Margaret means pearl. Did that answer your question? Live action role play.
Live action role play. And so getting to know that part of her and her traditions that she has with her family of LARPing, it was just so sweet. I've never read something like that before, and so that was just something new that I read. Vibe check, it was a 2 out of 3. There were just some parts in it that for me were a bit slow, and so that's where my vibe dipped a little bit. For the romance, I would give it a 2 as well, because I think the charm of the book is more of their banter, and well, it's not banter, it's like aggression, straightforward aggression towards each other. They are that type of enemies to lovers. As for pacing, I would put this in low to medium. It would lead more towards slow, just because the timeline is stretched out throughout the whole book. It's not like they fall in love right in the middle and then, you know, it continues. It's not like that. The whole timeline is spread across the whole book, so I would put that in slow. Also, this book has sprayed edges. How pretty. Also based in London, also based around Tower of London, so if that's the scenery you're looking for, perfect. Let's see what book we have next. I know what this is. This is our last book. You're confused why I say that, because there are 3 books. It's because this is a series as well. As for all the series, I will talk about the first book first. Oh my god, this is one of my favorite series and favorite books of all time, so I need my time. So this book is basically about Evangeline Fox, who has a lover. However, he now is destined to marry someone else, and she's like, that's impossible. What is happening? So she ends up going to Jax, who is a fate. He is the Prince of Hearts, and he agrees to help her in exchange for 3 kisses. I know, kind of weird, but keep listening. And also, she has to give this kiss anytime he chooses, to make it even weirder. Evangeline's like, whatever, just like, you know, like make him fall in love with me again. And so she agrees to the deal, but then she realizes the deal she has made is not the best, and now she's doubting Jax. This is absolute of a magical of a book. I think I say this to every book, but this was also one of my first fantasy books that I ever read. I would actually love to reread this book, because I started reading this book and I was just a bit confused, because it's a new fantasy world, and so the world building just took a bit of time, because it is just so creative and it's just so new and something I haven't read before, that it took me a while to imagine everything, and I like to imagine things, so I would definitely love to reread this. And if you see the book, you see the cover, that is exactly what this book is about, and it looks like and it feels like. It is so magical. The vibe check is definitely a 3 out of 3. I was not expecting to like Jax this much. I was not expecting to like Evangeline that much. I was not expecting to like this book that much. This book has definitely affected me deeply on a very deep, harsh level, and I think about this book to this day. And I think I read this a few months ago, like 8, 9, 10, 11 months ago. As for the romance in this book, I would say 1, a 1.5 for this, and 2.5, 2.5 for this. Within this book, you discover so many worlds, not just one world in itself of the main world, but you know, Evangeline travels and then she visits several other worlds. All the worlds have their own charm, have their own build-up. It is perfect, is what I'm trying to say. Lots of twists and turns. And I think the reason I really like this book is because it doesn't follow on romance solely. It is so much more of the development of the main character and how she achieves what she has set to achieve. And also throughout the book, our main character develops so much. And I also love her dynamic with Jax, because Jax is never lenient towards her. You never have the inkling that, you know, he might feel something for her, because he does. It's like he is a fate, so he acts like a fate to her. It's not like, oh, this book was meant for an enemies to lovers, so he is going to start liking her immediately. No, there's like a build up. Like in this book, they're mortal enemies. It's not until the 3rd book that you see Jax opening up. There's a POV of Jax in the 3rd book. Just saying, if you enjoy this book and you want to read the other I'm not sure if I should go through what the other 2 books are about, because I don't want to spoil anything. That is also a thought I have. Like, if you read the 2nd or 3rd book, doesn't like just the blurb, doesn't that spoil it a bit for you? I've never done that, so I don't know. But in this book, there's a spell cast on Evangeline, and then she has to break it. And in this book, Evangeline loses her memory and doesn't remember where she is. Just giving you that much. This is the one series that I can say with my whole heart that every single book is perfect. There's no bad book, there is no slow book, there's no sad book. It's just all perfect. Ooh, and pacing, I would give it a medium pace. So that was my last recommendation for you. I hope that was helpful, because I know it can, in this time and age, covers can deceive you. And sometimes it looks like it's a teenage friendly book, and sometimes it's just not. So hopefully those gave you a bit of a fun and safe books to read. As I said, this is only part 1. I actually surprisingly have many more books to recommend that could go into this category. So if you're interested for more, let me know and I'll make a part 2. And if you've read any of these books before, oh my god, don't fall. Let me know in the comments which one have you read. I'm gonna put them down now. Everything fell. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Make sure to follow me on all my social media platforms for more bookish content. And also make sure to subscribe. Oh my god, how did I forget? Make sure to subscribe. And I will see you in my next video, probably with the part 2. Bye!